Well, here I want to take the red paint off the Magneto flywheel plate inspection cover. I'm going to use alcohol. Seems to come off, so I must have used lacquer when I sprayed this. So let me just start removing that, and I'll show you when I'm done. Well, here, after about 5 minutes of rubbing it with alcohol, I got all the paint off. I was hoping it would look more like this, but I'm going to have to polish this plate, that's all. But it's still better than the red. And I'm just so glad to get rid of the red all around. Anyway, to the next item. I love it. Plate installed. Another item off the list. Looks great. So here I'm getting ready to paint the cover inside finally, after over 30 years. I was left it in the sandblasted state for all that time. What I did is I took Scotch-Brite and then I rubbed it with alcohol and cleaned it up, blew it out with air, and now I'm going to prime it. Mind you, they didn't prime these back in the 50s. They just painted with the white enamel paint. But I'm going to use self-etching primer, and I'm going to paint it. I took the cover apart because it's a lot easier to do it this way than to have it open on a bench, both halves together. I don't have to do any taping, really any taping, maybe just on the top a little when I do the white. But as far as the primer, no taping. Not going to go too crazy with that. And I'll do the same to the front. I don't want to bore you watching me prime and paint these. But just another big step in getting this motor finished after such a long period of time. Okay, to the next clip. Here I got the second side primed, and I did take the front badge off. Moving along. So here's side two. The back half of the cover. Again, this is a 5 spray nozzle. So far, I'm not nuts about it. But number 5 is horizontal fan, and I'm on the number 4 vertical fan. Number 3 is low output, number 2 is standard, and 1 is high output. So I'm going to keep it on number 4. I can imagine the guys in the factory, they must have loved painting the inside of these covers. Now I know why they didn't prime them. Yeah, this is a little awkward. Getting a little splatter here and there. I have a quart of Deltron enamel, but I'm not going to use it just for doing one cover. It doesn't make any sense, especially when it's on the inside. So at the top of the shelf inside with this. Beautiful day today. It's like it's got to be close to 60. No wind, perfect for painting. Especially lacquer. There's no humidity either. Pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's lacquer. It might be lacquer. Maybe not. All right, let this first coat set up on both pieces, and I'll give it a second coat and call it a day. This is the biggest item to get this motor back up to snuff. Was not painting the inside of this cover for 30 years. Okay, till the next clip comes up. Down the first coat on both halves. I'm getting a little more used to this 5-way nozzle. So in the beginning, I never used it before, so I was a little negative, which is understandable when you're not used to something. But I'm going to give it the second coat, and I mean the match to the outside again is like. I mean, if you see a difference, I'm partially colorblind. You let me know in the comments. But that seems like the same exact color as the warm white. So anyway, I'm going to spray both sides again, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I'm having fun. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I checked the gear case. Just like the other two restorations I did, no oil in the gear case. But what I did find when I was polishing the motor on the underside, the cavitation plate, there was like oily two-stroke oil, like it was running a barrel or a test tank. So I know I definitely ran this one. And this had all the power head bolts in it and everything. This was my first restoration, my 57 18, the first one I did. But here I'm just topping off the gear case. Another one of the items to do on my list. So I'll fill that up and then I'll show you the next clip. Well, here I like to do the update on my first restoration, my 1957 Johnson 18. I finished it. There was nothing major to do on it. The biggest thing was to paint the inside of the cover, which I did. You've seen the clips. But this is just for all you buffs that like these old motors and find this somewhat interesting. I had 9 items basically to do on this one. This was the easiest of the 3. The biggest job was painting the inside of the cover, which wasn't really that big a deal. So I painted the inside of the cover. I used antique white Rust-Oleum, and it was enamel paint. It took over 24 hours to dry, so I know it's enamel. So that's a good thing. And I clean the points. I polish the points like I do all my motors. I recommend after 5 years, if a motor's sitting in a garage or a shed, to take the points out and polish them. Or polish them in place with some 320 sandpaper, if you want, and re-gap them. I installed the glass bowl because it was missing. Something else I found in my garage. Got lucky, found the original one. I painted it black. I painted the flywheel black because it looked like a birthday cake. I didn't like the look. It was okay 25 years ago, but we change. So I like black. So the flywheel's black and the fuel strainer is black. I also removed the inspection cover. It was red. I took the paint off with alcohol and I got it down to bare metal and reinstalled it. Polished random bolts on the block that were covered with red paint that shouldn't have been covered with red paint. Filled the gear oil, it was empty. And I lubricated the Magneto mechanism so it moves easier. So now I'd like to show you the inside of the power head, the cover. Looks so much nicer when it's painted. Every time I opened it up through the years and saw that, bare metal, it was kind of annoying, So now it's all painted nice. White, shiny paint came out really nice. I took WD-40 to the rubbers and cleaned them all up. Got them nice and black again. Polished the 2 little washers that go behind there. You can see the fuel strainer here. I installed this particular engine, the length of the plug wires. When I replaced them years ago, I fitted them to the middle bolt hole instead of the top, so they're the short version. Again, I believe they came both ways to this head bolt on some models, and on the top one, the longer wire on some other models. But, I polished the whole engine. What else did I do? I put another propeller on it, repainted it white. You can see it down there. And I'm really happy it's done. Next thing to do is to run it. The weather's finally breaking here. Spring is here. And I'm very pleased. I polished the whole motor with Meguiar's compound too. But it just looks so much better. With the black fuel filter and the flywheel. Let me take the cover off real carefully here. Very careful when I take them off. I also went through my boneyard and I picked out another front faceplate. I'm going to buy the decal set this month and put the original plate back on there. But this is a really nice plate I had. So I put that on for now. It's got a nice gasket. I put my edge molding gasket on there for now. Like I said, I'm going to put the original plate back on, which is repainted already, with the new decals when I get them. Also, I don't have the start instructions on the cover too, so I want to get that done also. And then she's pretty much done. This motor, I bought a brand new badge on eBay a couple of years ago. I got a couple of them in stock. They're very expensive. They go from anywhere between like, I don't know, $150, $250 price range for a brand new one. So I'm glad I got that. I think I got this for $90, but that was probably 6 years ago. So they're hard to find. They're around, but they're hard to find. I got a lot of used ones. So in the end, I'm really glad it's done. She's sweet. I can't wait to run it. I did mention in one of the clips that when I was polishing the motor, on the other side of the cavitation plate, I found remnants of oil. The oil sludge when you're running a barrel or a garbage can. So I did run this motor. All the power head bolts are in, and she should start right up. She feels like she's got good compression for sitting for 35 years or whatever. You hear it. Got that real tight compression feel. So I think I put new pistons in it, but I did not have it bored. So I just think that's all I did. New pistons and new rings on all my restorations. Any new parts at that time I can get, I didn't cut any corners as far as that goes. But some of the other little things, like the cosmetic things weren't up to snuff. But that's the closing on this one. Number 3 finished. and I'm relieved. Now I got a 1954 15. It's all in zinc chromate primer. I got to paint it blue and silver. Buy a decal set for that. I don't know when I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to do it this year. You know, I can't put it off too much longer. It's been long enough as it is. But on the good side, I got 3 motors completed, totally completed. So now I can move them on. I might put them on eBay and sell them. I'm not really sure. All 3 at once that are finished. I have to think about it a little bit more. And we'll see what happens. Well, here I'm getting ready to paint the power head. Now, I'm going to do just like the factory did. No primer. I didn't sandblast this power head. I just cleaned it up with a wire brush on a drill motor. I have 4 or 5 different sizes I use. And I degreased it with alcohol. And now I'm going to paint it. Right before dark, so I'm fighting the daylight. I did tape up the Welch plug. I'm going to get a handheld light. Hold on a second. It's much lighter in the camera than it is actually in reality. It's just starting to get dark here. I did tape up the Welch plug and just with the Magneto rods here. That's it. Okay, I'll let that tack up, and then I'll give it another coat. Just put a cover on it, keep the bugs off. Not too many bugs yet. It's still March. Okay. Stood the motor up on the manifold, and the underneath got all the nooks and crannies that you can't see when you shoot from the top down. Now I'm just going to give the top surface second coat. And this is the paint, Holiday Bronze 1957 vintage outboard paint. My recommendation is to do this in the daylight. When things are visible instead of working in the dark. Okay, that's all she wrote. To the next clip. Then rebuilding the carburetor for the junk 5718 that you've seen a while back. I took it off my rack in my boneyard. Carburetor was very nice. No dirt inside it. I didn't change any of the parts. I just cleaned it up real good, and did a little polishing on the brass pieces, and that's it. And to the next item, we'll look at the Magneto. Here I have the Magneto. Somewhere along the line, the coils were replaced, like I mentioned when I took it apart. That's always a good sign. You know, to replace the coils, probably about $40. And those are usually knockoffs, not the OMC coils. But these are OMC coils, probably replaced, I'm assuming, in the 70s. But I'm going to clean this all up, the hardware, take the points out, polish like I do on all my engines. And that's another item off the list to bring this old girl back. Okay, to the next one. What I'll do here is, I just, go over the hardware. I will check the wires for continuity. I'm not going to change the plug wires, although you could. I'm going to clean up some of the brass parts, like I always do. Touch up the laminates. Again, polish the points. I did find one of the wave washers missing, and they had another common thing I see all the time, where you have they'll swap the condenser to points hardware. Condenser has the external tooth, and the points has the wave washer. So one of the wave washers was missing, and they swapped the screws. So I got to replace one of the wave washers. But just to clean up. And there's also somebody put this clamp here. It doesn't belong there. That clamp's coming off. This is the correct clamp that goes to the head. So I'll keep that and clean that up. And it gets a spring to the exhaust cover to here to retain the wires when you're advancing, retarding the throttle. But once I get it done, I'll show you when it's done. It's just basically a no-brainer. It's pretty simple. Well, here I got the 5718 power head all put together. I finished the Magneto, installed it, cleaned all the hardware, replaced the missing wave washer, polished the brass parts, turns nice and free. I put the spring in the wires here. I went and all I had was the upper piece from the original strainer, so I went and got another strainer, glass bulb and everything. And the carburetor is mounted permanently. It's all painted and finished. Came out really nice. I'm pleased. I've done it so many times. It never gets old to me. The paint came out really nice. A little more shinier than normal for spray cans, but looks really good. What else did I do? Oh, I also went out in my boneyard, and I've seen a few motors where the standoff was in the middle position, the middle bolt instead of the top. So I don't know if the factory did it two ways. They might have. Maybe they decided they use more wire, putting it on the top to save costs. Because, when you're building thousands of motors, it means a lot as far as the length of the wire. And so the shorter wire would use to stand off in the middle here. My finger is here. But two of the motors in my collection that I'm pretty sure are untouched were in the middle position. And I've seen in owner's manuals that they're in the top position. So I think it's in both. But anyway, I put this one in the top position because the spark plug wires are real long. And I did take both wires out. I cut them back. If they're not bruised up or cracked, there's no reason you can't use them over. They're stainless steel braided core. They're very durable. So I just cut them back like an 1/8 of an inch on both ends. I check it with a meter just to make sure. I look it over really thoroughly and make sure there's no chafes or cracks, and I use it. If there's a problem down the road, I'll change it, but it hasn't been one yet. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I even have a whole roll of wire in the garage too, so it's not a matter of not having the wire. I have plenty of wire. It's just whether if it's practical to do or not. You know, if you're doing a one-shot motor or you're only doing a couple motors, change the wires. Put new wires in there, new coils, new points, do everything. But when you do a lot of motors like I do, it's not really practical to do that. That's just the way it is on my end. But so what's next with this? I got to run my hoses. I got some of the parts I got to paint. The lower pan pieces got to be painted. The brackets that mount to here for the pull starter, they got to be painted. I have all that. I did put a handle on the midsection yesterday. The handle was missing, so I went and installed another handle. The shaft and everything through the midsection, all those pieces were good. There's not a lot of play in it, so that's good. And that's probably it for now for this in this video for this motor.